Yo guys, my name is Phoenix and welcome to a new video. More than a month has passed since the release of Tempest of the Gods, and I think we're going to have a balance change anytime soon, just like it happened in last expansion with the nerfs of Daria Runecraft and Roche OTK. So I wanted to do something fun with this video. I wanted to nerf some cards to give you an idea of what and how, in my opinion, should be nerfed. I picked three categories of cards. Cards that should be nerfed right now, cards that should be nerfed in the future, and honorable mentions, which are cards that are too strong, but I'm not entirely sure they need a nerf. So let us not waste any time and let's start with cards I will nerf right now. Windreader Zell. This card, in my opinion, is the biggest offender of the Dragocraft class. It has a solid body for its cost, a way too powerful evolve effect, and doesn't pay any stats for it. What I would do with this card is turn it into a 2 play points 1-1 that evolves into a 2 play points 2-2. This will change a few things while keeping the card viable. First, Zell would no longer be a very good tempo play when played on turn 2 against aggro decks, leaving Dragoncraft a bit more vulnerable to aggression during the early game. Second, the combo with Cyclone and Bahamut would not be as reliable, due to Zell not being able to remove an enemy follower when they have 2 on the board to let Bahamut go face. The card would still be able to be played in combo with Ouroboros on turn 10 for 11 damage, or with Cyclone and Bahamut on turn 9 for 13, so it will still see play. Then we have Bahamut. I've already talked a lot about this card in my previous video, so I won't waste much time here. As I said there, in my opinion, Amulet's removal should not be this efficient, so Bahamut should only remove enemy followers when it comes into play. It will still be an extremely strong card, but it will not kill a lot of deck archetypes when played in a tier 1 deck. And last but not least we have Prince Catacomb. This card is what enabled Shadowcraft to be the tier 1 class it is right now. It is a very unfair card when the Shadowcraft player goes first and has a 1 and a 2 drop, and it pretty much leaves no breathing room for the opponent. The reason why I don't think this card is good for the game is because this card lets a player win just by pure draw RNG, and I will probably showcase this in one of my videos. Not only this follower makes your board extremely sticky, but it also generates a lot of shadows, and that's important for cards like Little Soul Squasher, Lesser Mummy and Hector. This being said, what would I do with this card? I would change the text so that it only gives the last word effect to the other followers, so that you need to hit at least 2 to gain value. That way the card loses some of its early game power, but remains playable and useful. And now let's go over cards I would nerf in the future. Grimnir, War Cyclone. Grimnir is obviously way too strong and would probably need a nerf right now. The reason I put it into the nerf in the future category is because this card is the best resource every class has against Shadowcraft, both mid-range and aggro versions, which are very popular decks right now, so nerfing Grimnir would just make their win rate go even higher. So let's talk about this card. It's a 3 play points 2-3 with ward, which is already amazing on its own. And on top of that, it has an extremely powerful Enhanced 10 effect that deals 4 damage to everything on the enemy board and on the enemy face. This follower is just too solid in both the regular and the enhanced form, and this led this card to find its way in every single deck ever, like aggro decks, control decks, combo decks, all love Grimnir. And when a card is so popular that it just finds its way into every single deck, it's not a good card for the game. So what would I do with this follower? I love the enhance effect, so I think that should stay the way it is right now. That being said, I would nerf this card right after a new expansion, and I would release a 3 play points to 3 ward neutral card in the new expansion, so I would make Grimnir lose its ward. And that implies 2 things. First, every class will still have access to a very good anti-aggro card that is not extremely strong when played late game 2, and second, Grimnir will still be a decent card, but it wouldn't be played everywhere as both an early game and a late game tool. It would just be a very good late game card that can be dropped on turn 3 for tempo. Next we have Albert, Levin Saber. I'm sorry Albert, we won so many games together, but you're just way too strong and I cannot ignore that. The reason why Albert should not be nerfed right now is because Swordcraft itself is not in a great position, so nerfing its best playmaker would just kill the class. That being said, Albert is just way too strong in both the regular and the enhanced form. just like Grimnir. This limits deck building, because there is not a single reason not to run Albert in every single Swordcraft ever. Why would you play strong cards like Aurelia or Monica when this card is around? So, what I would do with Albert is turn it into a 6 play points 3/6. In that case, it would still be a strictly better Influencer, which by the way is a strong card already, and that would be fine because Swordcraft is a follower based craft, so it should have better followers than other classes. But if Albert was a 6 play point 3/6, Swordcraft would not be able to play a turn 5 Albert into turn 6 Alvida, which is kind of an unfair thing when going face especially. But Albert itself would still be a very strong card, and it would still be a very good finisher on turn 9 too. So I think that would be a good way to nerf it. And last, we have Time War Mage Levi. I strongly think that this card should have been nerfed on Daria the Ace. And if Runecraft ever becomes popular again, this card is the card to nerf. Levi has an extremely powerful evolve effect, and doesn't pay any stats for it, and I just don't get why. Getting a Crimson Sorcery for free means that this card can trade with any follower on the board on turn 4, and also kill something else or go face with the Crimson Sorcery and spell boost your hand by 1. The obvious change here is making Levi gain only +1/+1 when evolving, just like every other card with powerful evolve effects. And if you do that nerf, you can be sure this card will still see play, because it would still be very good. And now for the honorable mentions, Sibyl of the Waterwyrm. Overall this card is way too strong. It does a ton of things and does them well. It has a perfect body for its play point cost, it lets you ramp and heals you at the end of the turn. Just like Lucifer does, but it doesn't make you lose the healing effect when you evolve it. I put this card into the honorable mention category because I think this card is what enabled Dragoncraft to be good. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because Dragoncraft have been the worst class for a very long time. So maybe Dragoncraft do need such a strong card to survive, and nerfing it would just kill the class once again. But if I would need to nerf this card, I would just make it so that healing effect goes off on the beginning of your turn instead of at the end of your turn, just like Unica does. Next we have Lightning Blast. Nothing much to say here, I'm perfectly fine with the regular effect, but I just don't like the enhance effect because I don't like easy amulet removals. So yeah, this is much more of a personal preference, it's not a card that I would think needs nerfs, and this is why I put it into the honorable mention category. And the last card for today is Heavenly Aegis. I still don't know how to judge this card. Aegis Havencraft is nothing special right now, but if it ever becomes strong, I'm afraid this card sets the bar too high for control decks. The worst thing that could happen would be Havencraft becoming the only viable control deck due to having access to a card that offers little to no counterplay, and in that case this follower would need a nerf. That future in which this card becomes too problematic may never come, which is why I include this card into the honorable mentions. And this will be all for this video. Thank you for listening to my ideas, and I would love to hear your opinion about this. Do you agree with everything I said? Are there other cards that need nerfs? Please let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing, and I see you next time.